triad in there, and they will work over the top of this as well. So I can start to think, let's try over that same and cheesy backing track. These sounds. Those two together, that was just G and A. Doesn't just sound like arpeggios either to my ears. That sounds a little bit more musical. And all I'm doing is taking this idea of you take the harmonized scale, you find two triads next to each other that are the same type, and play them over that one chord. Understand the relationship of what they are in terms of their intervals against that root. But that's the idea. The same thing goes for when I'm thinking of arpeggios. So when I'm playing a lot of lines like... what I'm doing here is I'm thinking of seventh arpeggios from the harmonized scale as well. So it's one thing, it sounds super obvious once it's explained, but essentially once you harmonize the scale, you can play any arpeggio from within that harmonized scale over the root, and you're going to get different flavors. Like one thing which I love to do is say, I could think of the relative major of E. So we're in E minor. If I play G major 7 as my arpeggio, then essentially I'm getting these huge E minor 9 sounds. Like it's this. Here, if I play G major 7 over that. I can use them everywhere. But it doesn't sound like it anymore, does it? It doesn't sound like just the typical sweet beat. Go on. It's got a bit more, I wouldn't say intelligence to it, but a bit more character to those lines, I would say, than just going up and down. Any questions so far? I don't want to go too deep into theory and harmony. I can see tired faces everywhere.
Go deep.
Yeah.
Our safe word is more. Sorry.
But using these kind of arpeggio ideas, I like to think of things like, say if I wanted to outline melodic minor, what I can start to think of is, say, like, I could think of a B major triad over that E, and I'm going to get some of the extensions. I'm going to get that ninth, I'm going to get that fifth, and I'm going to get that major 7. So if I play... Can you hear that? Yeah. You're looking at me. Have you got a question? No?
No. Can you play just...
Play minor there next to it. What I did there was play the minor third straight after. It can help me give the flavour of some of these other scales without thinking of the whole scale itself. I'm just getting a select group of intervals. Another thing you can do to kind of add flavour to these, it's a concept called melodic fragments in the jazz world. I think there's a book by Jerry Bergonzi, who's like a jazz sax player. He talks about loads of these. It's what's used in like the original solo on Giant Steps, if people know that tune, the crazy John Coltrane thing. But essentially, the idea behind this is that, say you have a chord type. A melodic fragment is basically a group of 4 intervals. I think it can be more in his book. But 4, let's take that. The one which I like the most is just 1, 2, 3, 5. This sound. Is there any gamers out there? Does anyone like Final Fantasy?
Yes, the crystal theme, right?
Yes. It's that, literally that sound. But that opens up tons of doors. The reason why they're called melodic fragments is because they work so well as a theme in your phrasing, you know. I can take this. And I'm getting all kinds of cool lines out of it. But you don't have to just stop there. It's like, here's one chord I'm going to play. You can play any of them from within the harmonized scale. So if I took C major, maybe we could all do this together. You could go 1, 2, 3, 5 from the C. If you go to the second chord, you've got 1, 2, 3, 5. Think of D as the root. 1, 2, flat 3, 5. For the E, you get 1, flat 2. We've got the flat 3. 5. Yeah. Sorry. What am I doing? There we go. There's the 5. For F, we've got the same 1, 2, 3, 5. For G, 1, 2, 3, 5. A, 1, 2, flat 3, 5. That B minus 7, flat 5, 1, flat 2, flat 3, flat 5. Back to the C. What you can start experimenting with then is literally improvising with the order of these things, but using them as a basis. If I play that over that cheesy 2-chord one, let's hear what that sounds like. It's just A minor, so all of those same ones will work. Let's find it. Oh, sorry. 2 backing tracks at once again. So for this, you can play any of them. That is just that C, 1, 2, 3, 5. Like on the D. It's quite a cheesy phrase, but it works. From the E. That one's not so nice because it's got that flat 6 in there. From the F, of course, though. That minus a flat 5 and it was that weird. We might start mixing these now. Just using that same idea and still get nice phrasing from it. You mix it with the pentatonic stuff. And it's just such a simple concept, you know. I think that gave me the most mileage. It's just a fucking Final Fantasy theme tune. It's so mad. Gaming does have its benefits. But yeah, does that make sense to everyone there? Yeah. So when I am soloing and I'm playing, say, like a big legato line or some of the sweet pick stuff, that is essentially what the mix is. It's like I'm thinking of my triads, my arpeggios, from within the harmonized sound that I'm playing over, and these melodic fragments, and that's pretty much the secret. You know, there's nothing more to it than that. It's just a case of finding different orders that work for you. You know, a cool way of first as well when it comes to like developing the technique side of this. I don't know if any of you guys have ever tried this, but you take a backing track like this and you see if you can just play, say, one easy subdivision, but improvised constantly, using that scale sound. So say like you just take eighth notes over that, can you consistently play eighth notes? And if you can't, then you don't know the fretboard well enough. It's as simple as that. You know, like if I go over there. The scale under your fingers, or you truly do have these kind of sounds available, you know. And as well, when it comes to developing lines like legato lines, all I'm doing to create those is that but quicker. If you see what I mean, it will be lines that are already there in the muscle memory. It's not like, I think there's maybe a misconception with it, is that like people are consistently improvising with this stuff. All of my favorite players, I can identify or I can hear patterns in there. It's just one of those things. To get the mechanics of that. I mean, take Tom Quayle as an example. I've listened to him for years and years and years, and sometimes it's like I can predict where his line is going to go because I've heard him do it so many times, you know. And even though he's improvising in the sense that he's connecting the dots and stuff, it will have been things that have been played already at a slow speed. Brings up there's that huge question: is that are we ever truly improvising, you know, or are we just like, is the improvisation the connection of the dots? I think that's maybe the real truth there, you know. But anything like... that kind of stuff will have been practiced like I did before, you know, where it's like a case of just taking that one subdivision and slowly playing over. A lot will be muscle memory, but then it's how you connect them. If you see what I mean. Yeah? Any other questions? We can talk about technique, we can talk about bullshit, wherever you want to go. All of the tapping stuff, maybe, I don't know. That got asked in Italy the other week, and I was like, I only have one tapping lick. Actually, it's just that. That's literally it over and over again in different keys. Any questions?
I have one.
Yes.
But it goes back to the beginning of your talk, though.
Yeah.
You mentioned you don't like the when people refer to like a D Dorian as C major.
Yes.
Right? Can you like play the? I understand the theory behind what you're saying. Can
Yeah.
you like play the difference?
Yeah. I'd have to loop a chord maybe so that you can hear.
Sure.
Yeah. Let me just try. Where's it coming to? So. That's not good for that. So this is like C major. If I go, it's super slow tempo, but. In fact, let me give something a bit more rhythm because I lose that. So if I loop this, scale over the sound block over the top. The characteristic of this is that like the Dorian D minor 7 chord over the top. Let's hear this. So. Let's try that. So this is how Dorian sounds. It's the same note. Can you see how that's exactly the same? The characteristic of one is inherently minor, and it's got this focus. Where's the other one? Sound. I mean, like, just like the two. I play that same phrase over the other one. It's like, welcome to the Weather Channel, isn't it? It's so fucking cheesy. How weird is that the context goes over the other one? That actually sounds okay. You hear that over this. But that's the idea, is I'm thinking of what is the sound of Dorian, even though they're the same notes.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Any other questions? No. Maybe, what time are we on now? Is it nearly 10?
It's like 9:43.
Yeah? Do you guys want to wrap it up here?
No.
Maybe if I play one more song?
Or 3.
What do you guys fancy? Something 80s or something shred? 80s?
80s
Yeah, okay. 80s shred.
Harmonic minor.
Okay, this track is called 1993. Is there anyone else born in 1993 here? No. Fuck. Oh man, I'm having the fear. I'm turning 30 next month. Did anyone go through that? Who's over 30? Did anyone go through that existential dread that's like, fuck, life is over now? Like,
Wait till you get 40
oh shit, so sorry. I owe you guys a beer.
or 50.
Or 50, oh my god. Where's Matthias? Can I go?
20 last month.
Oh my god. You've got it all to come.
All downhill from
Yeah, it really is, yeah. I remember when guitar was fun.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just get the tempo of this. Right. Here we go. 1993. Is it time for beer and bed?
No, another one. Come on.
Another one?
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't even know if I have any more. Let me check.
Improvise.
I can do that all day. Really good.
So can I ask a question about that song you just played?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
has this kind of, I don't know, this like very icy lead synth. And
Yeah.
then there was something about, briefly mentioned like the note targeting and the soloing and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you had these moments where it just like perfectly lined up with this, you know, the voice into the synth and, you know, guitar almost came out almost synth.
Ah,
Is that
yeah.
something you, like how do you get your guitar to mix well with something that actually occupies the same space that much as a synth does?
That's a great point. I think it's all in the choice of synth, which is not usually my job. It's usually Owain's job in production. But usually with a lot of our stuff, you'll find that there's a lot of things layered in terms of the leads. So we copy exactly the same notes. There's some really cheesy fucking MIDI sax in a lot of our stuff, actually. I mean, if you hear this, let me find it. I think it was that track earlier that we played. Let me just see if it's this one. Check out this. Sorry, wrong song. You'll hear it here. Look how shitty that sax is, but there it is. Blends perfectly well. You hear that in isolation and you're like, that is horrendous. We've got like pan pipes as well, which sound awful. But in isolation, the second there's a guitar there, it's like it gives the guitar body. There's something about the, I don't know, is it the EQ of those sounding instruments that just give it a bit of an edge. So yeah, for a lot of like the lead lines, especially if it's a chorus thing, we'll always try and double it in some way with a synth type, you know. And if it's the same note, if it's single notes, it's not occupying any space in terms of the chords. But if you noticed in that last song, I think the only rhythm guitars are that. The rest of it is synth. Playing those same voices, but I think it's on keyboards, not on guitars, you know. Because he was just like, get rid of that. It's taking up all the space, you know. Does that answer the question though, man?
Yeah.
Tell us something about your gear.
Gear? Okay, I'm not a gearhead, by the way, I'm pretty shit with it, but this is my custom Ibanez AZ. The kind guys at Ibanez kindly made this. It's one of a kind in the sense that in the AZ range, they don't have 24 HSS. So I'm a weirdo in the sense that I love the sound of a Strat. I am a Strat guy, I'm convinced by it. You know, like the Stevie Ray Vaughan sound, or even like the Eric Gale sound. I love that. Wayne Krantz is the big one for me. But when I'm playing 22 or anything less than 24, my visualization goes to shit. It's something about needing that symmetry. You know, there of that double dot again, the perfect octave. I don't know why my brain just can't see it on 22. And I use that range. I don't know if you heard it in the last song there. There's some notes which are right the way up. You could bend it on a 22, but it's just extra effort, you know. But essentially, it's pretty much stock, except for that. And these are my signature pickups in here by a guy called Hugo Sierro. I think Hugo from Belgium over there, you actually have a pair of these, don't you, in the guitar? And they're essentially it's like a 69 Strat, I think they were based off. So you get, I mean, on the usual AZs, it's the Seymour Duncan Hyperions, I believe, are the pickups in there. And they're great, but they're more, I think, compressed and designed for that kind of Polyphia sound or Charm, you know, those kind of bands. I prefer that old vintagey thing where you get a lot of like the dynamic range of that sound. The stock pickups are a lot more compressed. And then the humbucker is a really angry high output. I think we looked at pickups like the Ser SSV Plus there, that's a really high output one. There's a couple of others that we based it off, but yeah, I mean that goes from, say, I'm quite reasonably clean, it's like edge of breakup. If I go to my bridge pickup, sorry, I'm a bit out of tune there, but you can hear the difference there in the volume, you know, it's really high output as opposed to that low output here. In terms of tone though, what I'm using, I don't want to sound like a salesman, I always feel like this. You know, I'm using the Neural DSP Quad Cortex. It's just super convenient in the sense that it's acting as the audio interface today. So basically I'm running a Logic session over here. I mean, the size of it, it's tiny. If you compare it to, I know the Helix is great, I love that thing as well, but that doesn't fit in a guitar case. You know, it's one of those things you've always got to take a pedal board with you, essentially, or a flight case thing with you. This can literally fit in the front of a gig bag, or you can put it in your backpack until you're on the flight. Now, in terms of like what I'm using in terms of amps, it's super straightforward. I'm using a model of, it's a capture actually, of a Trainwreck Liverpool. I know that's funny. That's the name of the amp. It's based off an AC30 or a Marshall. I'm not too sure. It's one of these legendary, you know, like the Dumble, like one of those. Has anyone ever seen that picture of John Mayer, by the way, on the jet?
Yeah.
I thought that was genius, where he took you know, all the celebrities and the rappers have like the pictures of them with their gold watches and shit like that and bags of money. And he took a Dumble amp and sat on the private jet to take a picture. I thought that was genius.
Was that not Photoshop?
No, that was real. Yeah, apparently so. Yeah. Because that is his amp, I think, as far as I know. But yeah, it's this amp in here that I modelled is basically the same thing as that. It's that kind of legendary amp, with varying degrees of gain. So that's the cleanest that'll go. What I love about these kind of Voxy or Marshall amps is that if I use the volume control, that's how I can control my gain, rather than relying on, you know, switching on pedals and things like this. That's pretty clean. If I dig in with my right hand though, I'm getting that bite. One of the biggest things for my playing is like I need to hear those dynamics in my phrasing. I always feel so weird playing like certain amps, like Fender type amps, where everything feels like quite squished. I just don't like it. You know, you put an overdrive in front of that and it feels flat to me. There's none of this control that I can get like I can here. If I moved on to the next one, this is a bit more gain. If I roll down the volume though again. See how I can get this like big range. That's what I need for my playing, I feel anyway, you know, to get that sound. The only other sound I was using there is actually a Fender for the cleans. I can go from kind of Nile Rodgers. You know, if I was to use real amps, that would be impossible. You'd need that Fender Princeton there or whatever it is, you know. But that's basically the only other sound. It's just another one with a different cab. Sounds lush to my ears. I mean, it's different having the amp in the room. Last week we were in Italy and Andy Timmins was there, and he had like a dual Messer, what was it, Lone Star, like stereo rig. And you know, I remember he came up to try this, and he was like, "Oh, let me have a go," and he sounded fucking ridiculous through it, as he always does. But then he turned on his amp, and it was like, yes, I get it now. It destroyed this. You know, it's having that air move in the room. I guess on a record you can't really tell the difference, but actually being there and the touch thing and the feel thing, this is great for that touch, like kind of dynamics thing. But it's not exactly the same as an amp, I would say. The way in which an amp cleans up is just a little bit nicer. But then again, would you want to fly with two super fucking heavy amps and then a pedal board which is like twice the size of this to get your sound? And what if one pedal goes? You've had it, you know, at least with this, if the power supply goes, I can buy a new one and off we go. The only thing which I'm not using in here today are the reverbs and delays. I'm actually using them in Logic. So what I do, this was a tip from Owain, and it's a good shot for any of you recording at home, is to take the dry signal from this. So I've just got the amp sim on. What I do is then I use a bus in Logic, and I send my reverb and delay essentially comes from there. It's like being sent to it, this dry amp. So if I turn off the reverb and delay here, let me just see if I can find it. We've got this. Super dry. If I turn on the delay, we've got, this is Archetype Abassi, by the way, the Tosin Abassi Neural DSP plugin. Nice ping pong delay, and then the reverb is Valhalla Room, if anyone uses that. It sounds lush as well. I think that's making up the most part of the tone, really. But the reason why I'm doing it this way is because it's all tempo synced. So when I was playing all the tracks before and I'm changing the BPM, it means those delays are in time. And to do that with this is a pain. You'd have to MIDI sync it and all that kind of shit, and things can go horribly, horribly wrong. I know a lot of the guys on the road, they do this. We were just on tour a couple of months ago now with Pliny, and their whole thing, they have no pedals in front of them. It's just a volume pedal. It's all done like in the back, in the rack, all the switching during the song. I would not like that. You know, like for me, I need some kind of control of where I am. You know, and the other thing, it takes away improvised moments when you do that, because how do you then change patch? You know, you're stuck with, you wouldn't want, I mean, I've got a patch on here that's for our stuff. I would not, if I'm stuck on that 8-string, you know, it's an 8-string emulator type thing, how am I going to solo then? How am I going to do something unique on the night? No, you're stuck, you've got to play it pretty much exactly the same, you know, every night. It's just one of those. But other than that, that's literally all my gear. It's just Ibanez guitar, Neural DSP Quad Cortex, and then plugins for reverb and delay. Nothing else. Picks. We're going to get that way. Eric Johnson signature picks. Yes.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understood correctly. So the amp you're using is on the Neural DSP, and then you're sending that signal to a bus with the reverb and the delay?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. So none of the reverb and delay comes from the Neural DSP amp?
No.
That's all from Logic. Okay.
Not at all. I like to keep that dry. Like when we play live, yeah, I'll have the exact same patch. I mean, it's barely noticeable, the difference. Let me just turn off this. Kind of there, it works, you know, but not as lush though, that reverb. You know, there's something about that reverb in there. But yeah, that's essentially it. Any other questions?
Are your pickups available for sale yet?
Yes, in Switzerland, yes.
Oh, right,
I mean, actually no, they are available worldwide.
Okay.
Yes, hugosierra.com. Guys, thank you so much. I'm dying as well here. I can see a few eyes closed and I'm feeling exactly the same as you, bro. But yeah, thank you so much again for having me. I'd say thanks to Matthias, but he's gone. So yeah, if you want to check out any of our music, just type in my name, Jack Gardiner, on Spotify, YouTube, any of that kind of stuff. But thanks for having me, and yeah. how to turn this off, anyone? I don't want to get into